Today is one of those days. I am a lot in debt. And I don't make enough money for me to be in this much debt.
How do y'all have no debt? I need to know. There are days like today where I just want to go on a rant about debt. I have $40,000 worth of debt, and that does not include my student loans or my mortgage, because those are things that they get paid when, well, the mortgage gets paid all the time. Obviously, student loans, whenever they come back on, okay, whatever, I'll have to pay them. But I am talking about daily living expenses debt. How do you not have debt? Maybe you guys do and you're just not telling everybody, and that's perfectly fine. Do whatever is best for you. I don't normally tell people, but I've been sharing my recipes, and I'm doing a series on share my recipes to help pay down my debt, because how else am I going to do it? It's going to be a continuous cycle. Like, I'm not spending money on like getting my nails done, going buy new clothes, new shoes, new bags. No, I'm getting diapers. I'm getting wipes. I'm getting formula. I'm getting groceries, things that are a necessity for us to quite literally stay alive. I don't know if I'm the only one who thinks this or goes on rants about debt, but something's got to give. The economy's got to change. I can do some things on my part as far as maybe I can make more money. Hello, TikTok. That would be you. So, yeah. Happy Wednesday.
Do you guys want to hear how much credit card debt I have? I saw two videos on my For You page this morning. One was from a girl talking about how she wants to normalize discussing how much we have in our savings account. And another was a girl talking about how she wants to normalize talking about how much we have in our 401ks. But while we're at it, can we also normalize discussing debt? I feel like student loan debt and mortgages are really normalized. We talk about those all the time, but no one really discusses consumer debt. I've only seen a few content creators on here say what they actually have in terms of consumer debt. And even I don't say the full number. I say 5 figures. Well, here we go. I have $31,000 worth of credit card debt. And as of next month, I will have $29,000 worth of credit card debt. And when I first started my no-buy journey, I began with $45,000 worth of credit card debt. It might have been closer to 47, but it was insane. I don't have the exact number, but that basically means that within the last 6 months, I've paid off roughly like $12,000 to $15,000 worth of credit card debt. Now let's talk about my other financials, because although I have debt, I am not destitute. I'm 35 years old and I have about $30,000 in the stock market. I had $105,000 in my 401k. I have since done a 401k loan to pay off a good deal of debt. That was about $24,000. So I took $24,000 out of my 401k temporarily, but I'm paying that back. I also contribute like 14% of my salary to my 401k. It's like a really crazy number. And I had almost no short-term savings up until like very, very recently. And I now have around $1,500 in savings. And I've upped my contribution to my savings every single week. I put $250 in my savings account. And my goal is to not drain that at all when I go to Paris in November. But yeah, there you have it, folks. I have $31,000 in debt. I hope my parents don't see this because they will call me screaming. Oh, I forgot to mention, I also have $0 in student loans. So it's looking like once I'm out of my consumer debt, I will be actually in pretty good shape financially. My goal is to have like $15,000 in savings this time next year. I feel like I could hit 20. Let's go for 20. I want $20,000 in savings by this time next year. Anyway, here's to normalizing discussing finances.
Everyone's always like, Brenda, why are you working so hard? Why are you doing a full-time job and posting on TikTok all the dang time? It's because I have $78,327 in student loans. And you want to know how much unpaid interest I accrued in the month of February? $523.93. And this is me paying at least a minimum of $2,000 per month. Started with a little bit over $150-something thousand because I had the bright idea of going to grad school so that I can graduate in a healthcare job to help people, but not get paid enough for the amount of student loans I had to take out. Now, my fault, I went to a private university, but still, it shouldn't be this hard to pay off student loans. But based on my PT salary alone, there is absolutely no way that I could pay this much with just that salary alone and live a breathable, decent life. Make it make sense?
This is how much debt I have as a 27-year-old living in San Diego. And so let's go over my biggest balance right now, which are my student loans. I owe $36,990.29. And this is everything that I have. But next one is my personal loan, SoFi Bank. I owe $5,838 on my personal loan. Next one is my car. So my car, I owe $3,000 on it. It's so close to being paid off. All right. And so lastly, in credit cards, I have 3 credit cards that I have a balance on. It's $13,087. So this is what I am pretty much focusing on for 2025. Okay. So I owe $58,919.29 is my total debt that I owe. And I'm not gonna lie, yes, I'm not proud of that, but I definitely am pretty much gonna be planning to pay off most of my consumer debt next year. So I am gonna pretty much go down and eliminate about like half of that with the consumer debt, and then the other half is my student loans. So I am not necessarily going to worry about the student loans yet, but the plan is to pay off the consumer debt for 2025. So I'm excited about that. So we'll see.
I have over $70,000 in student loan debt, so here is my attempt of trying to put anything towards that. I did everything right. I applied to 8 schools, all that I would get in-state tuition for. I got scholarships to 7 of them. I picked the cheapest option, and I have $70,000 in student loan debt. I was extremely high achieving in high school. I was, you know, straight A's, all AP, honors classes, that sort of thing, extracurriculars. I knew I didn't have any sort of college fund or anything, so I worked 35 hours a week while I was in high school. I slept like 3 hours every night. I hated my life, but I knew that if there was any way I was gonna, you know, do anything after high school, I had to work. I'm watching my niece right now, so if you hear some chattering, that's what that is. Yeah, I was a class of 2020 grad. So as you know, if you were also a 2020 grad, high school, not college, you just know you got cheated out of absolutely everything. You got so many opportunities taken away. And it just sucks. And the college I went to had a 2-year living on campus requirement when I was there. And that was tens of thousands of dollars in addition to the tuition. And there was no way out of that. And now they don't have that living requirement because there's not enough space there and whatever, which is so annoying. And it's so hard to not dwell on that because that's part of the reason I'm so stuck in a hole. And all the other like colleges I applied to had that same requirement. And so it was like, I don't understand. Like I feel so cheated. I feel just awful. I do not know. I don't know how to pay this off. I've been working and saving money since I could work and save money. I'm doing all the right things. Right now I'm in a gap year and I've just been babysitting, making money that way, not doing any big spending. My apartment is 100 years old, like genuinely, like it's caving in on itself. It's a lead paint apartment. It's just, it's the worst, low key, but it's like, that's what I could do to save money. I've done all the right things. And I know a lot of you also just feel cheated. It's so annoying to, you know, spend all of your high school years sleeping 3 hours a night, doing all the right things, putting so much towards just everything you're doing, thinking, oh, it's gonna pay off, like, I'm gonna get some money towards college, it's gonna set me up with great opportunities, whatever, and to be in this situation, it's like, okay, great. I'm in a gap year, I start grad school in August for school psychology. I did get a full tuition grant for a research program. However, I've been informed it has the potential to go away because of the current president situation. So I am hoping so hard that doesn't go away because there's no way for me to have more debt. There's no way. Yeah, and it sucks, and I know it sucks for a lot of you guys too. So we'll call this day 1, trying to get a little bit of shmoney from TikTok. If you watched 5 seconds of this video, that will count towards the creator fund. So But yeah, if you want to boost this video, if you made your own video like this, let me know. I've never been one to be like for like or whatever, but it's like, if this is gonna, you know, put a little bit of money towards my loans, that'd be great. It sucks so hard. And like I said, I worked all throughout high school, and I had multiple jobs in college, and like all the money I've been able to put towards my current loans, my private loans, which by the way, have almost an interest rate of 7%, and that was the best thing we could find at the time and get approved for. That's a whole nother thing. If you don't come from rich parents, it can be kind of hard to get approved for loans sometimes. But yeah, like I said, I'm doing all the right things. I'm working, I'm saving, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, whatever it may be. But yeah, this is just another effort. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, I'm jealous. I meant to add, the videos I primarily make are about my OCD, but if you have ideas on things that people would watch for at least 5 seconds, let me know.
Hi, my name's Faith. I am 22. My husband is 26, and we are in 101.2K worth of debt. So luckily none of that is credit card debt. Anyway, so our debt is made up of my car loan, my husband's truck loan, and our camper loan. I owe $26,985.54 on my car. My husband owes $44,570.90 on his truck, and then we owe $29,829.53 on our camper. Okay, sorry, I lied. We're in almost 101.4K debt. Altogether, that's 101,300 wow, I cannot speak, $385.97. And then our mortgage, I'm not really worried about that right now. We do have a mortgage, we do own our home. But our goal for like paying everything off, I would really love to have my car, his truck, and our camper paid off in the next 3 years by the end of, let's see, 25, 26, by the end of 27. So we can start building our forever, like, dream home. But I don't want to do that with all the payments we have right now. And I think my phone's, like, turning, so I'm going to turn with it. So this year, like, immediate goal is pay my car off this year. Because it's the lowest loan amount, but it's also the highest interest rate. So we're kind of doing the snowball and avalanche method. And I've been paying extra on my car since I got it. I got my car in July, and my first payment was in August, and I started putting extra on it. Then there was a couple months I couldn't put extra on it. But I'm trying to be more intentional. I went in at the beginning of the year / end of December, and like really looked at our budget, saw what money we have coming in, what money's going out, cut as much like subscriptions, expenses as I could, and then I had a consultation to get braces. So I had cut a few $100s out of our budget, and I had to get braces again, and it's almost $7,000 for my braces. But I had to put like a 10% deposit down, and then it's $180 every month. So pretty much all the money that I had saved looking at our budget, I added back to it, getting braces, but I wanted to go ahead and just get it done. But it's 0% interest, so I'm not worried about that either. It'll be paid off in a little less than 3 years. So by the time we're done paying all of this stuff off, this keeps moving. But by the time we're done paying the vehicles and campers off, my braces will be paid off too. So I'm not really worried about that. But, so I did the math, car first, then camper, then his truck. And in order for me to, or us to get our car paid off by the end of this year, I'd have to put an extra $2,450 towards it. So we'll see. That's a very lofty goal. Right now I've been putting like $500 extra, maybe $700 extra towards it. So we're really going to have to be intentional with our money, and I really like to do a zero-based budget. I was like putting into savings, so I would have been able to put more towards my car, but I was putting into savings. So me and my husband combined have money in a high yield savings account for our emergency fund. And we have about a month and a half of expenses saved. So we have that as a buffer if anything goes wrong.
Did I get myself into $10,000 of credit card debt before the age of 25? Let me tell you, this is a cautionary tale. When I graduated college, I had no credit card debt. None. Literally not a penny. So I did not know how soul-crushing credit card debt could be. So after I graduated, I took a job, my first big girl job, moved to Ohio. We don't talk about that. Ohio's where I learned about credit cards. I took a pretty good paying job for being just out of school in the industry that I was in. I think I was making like $35 an hour, which was like really good, I thought, for being 22 and being in the apparel industry. I thought I was wealthy. I was spending money like I was wealthy. I had a clean slate, no credit card debt. I could have built myself a very solid financial foundation. I could have started saving. I didn't have a savings either, by the way. I had no debt, but I also had no money. I could have built myself a solid foundation, and I could have made some smart financial decisions. But I did whatever the opposite of that is. Paid for the nicest apartment that I could afford in Ohio, which was pretty nice because it's Ohio. Paying for like weekly workout classes. I did boxing like 4 times a week. Do you know how expensive that is? I had no business doing that. Should have been at Planet Fitness. I was shopping, buying whatever clothes I wanted, buying whatever I wanted because I was wealthy. And this is where things take a turn. My friend says, let's go to Europe. She says, let's go to Europe. And I say, okay, where, when? I'm in. Again, I didn't have money. I did not have the money to go to Europe. But what I did have was a Delta credit card. I had a Delta credit card that I had applied for because I knew I was going to get the Delta Sky Miles to go with it. So I bought a ticket to Ireland. I think it cost me $500 after the whole Delta Sky Miles thing, which honestly, it was a steal. I was like, great, I can totally afford this. A few days before our trip to Ireland, my friend texts me her ticket and she's like, this is what time I get in. What time do you land in Dublin? And I look at my ticket and I'm like, that's not the day that I get in. I had bought a ticket for the wrong day. If you know me, it's not shocking, unfortunately. But she's like, it's cool. I'll just hang out in Dublin until you get there. And I'm like, hell no. Like, you're not staying at this hostel in Dublin by yourself for 3 days. And not on my watch. Not while I have a credit card. So I put an entire new flight on my Delta credit card. And this is where things take a turn for the worse, ladies and gentlemen. I put a $1,200 flight to Dublin on my Delta credit card. Canceled my other flight, no refund. Canceled it, no refund. So at this point I had close to $2,000 on my credit card just getting to Dublin, okay? But I'm like, money comes back, memories don't. Get to Europe. My credit card is coming out every 2 seconds. Ding, 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 ding. I didn't care because I was like, I have a good job and I'm gonna pay all this off and money comes back and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I honestly don't even know how much I spent because I didn't keep track of it. I did not even look at my credit card till I got home. I didn't look at my bank account. I just ding, 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 ding. And then I actually ended up moving to LA. I took a job which was a 50% pay cut. So I was making $18 an hour living in LA. But I knew I had to make that sacrifice for myself because it was a good brand and I needed that on my resume. I needed my foot in the door in the fashion industry in LA because Ohio was not cutting it for me. I needed to be in the action. I wanted to be in fashion. I wanted to design. Like, I was just so passionate about being in the fashion industry. I didn't care. I would have done it for free, honestly. I would have done it for free. But I was living in LA making $18 an hour. I didn't have a savings because I saved nothing from my time in Ohio. So I proceeded to open a few more credit cards. I learned about the Amazon credit card and I furnished a lot of my new apartment with my Amazon credit card. Yeah. I was putting bills. I'm like, don't put your bills on your credit card. Like, don't do that. My friend's like, you want to go to Disneyland? I'm like, yeah, let's go to Disneyland. Money comes back. Also, other huge thing, when I first moved to LA, the day I got there, my apartment fell through. I hadn't signed the lease yet, but like I was just waiting to hear back and like just hoping and praying because my job started on like Monday. And I got there and they were like, nope. I did not know what to do. I didn't know a single person there. I had nowhere to stay, nothing. I had to put all my stuff from my U-Haul in a storage unit and live in a hotel. I lived in a hotel for a month while I was trying to find an apartment because it is so hard. So I finally found one, but I couldn't move in for another month, so I was literally living in this hotel. And guess who paid for that hotel? Delta Amex, baby. Yeah, I put an entire month of a hotel stay on my credit card. Uh-huh. So at this point, I'm in like $10,000 credit card debt. I was 23. Had to start working my ass off because all of a sudden I was hitting my limits on my credit cards, and I was like, oh shit. And I was applying for new ones and not getting approved, because you know what I did when I left Ohio? I broke my lease, which was not allowed. No subletting, not allowed. Don't break your lease or you're gonna pay for it. And I did. They sent the rest of my rent to collections, which by the way is still there, because honestly, collections sounds like it's not my problem anymore. Sounds like my debt was bought by somebody else. But it screwed over my credit score though. Couldn't get any more credit cards. I was screwed. So I had to deal with the credit cards that I had and the max amounts that I had at the time. So what did I do? I got some part-time jobs. I was a golf coach for little children on the weekends. I'm not a good golfer. I started driving for Uber. That was interesting. With gas being like $6 a gallon in LA, I made like negative money doing that. All this to say, I worked my ass off in LA to try to get myself like above water, which I really didn't at all. So when the job offer came in Philly, which is where I live now, I took it so quickly, jumped on that shit, moved out to Philly, and have been working my ass off ever since to get myself out of credit card debt and build a savings and a life for myself. Started posting on TikTok. I have paid off $3,000 or $4,000 from TikTok, actually, of my credit card debt, which is the entire amount of what I've earned from this app in the past like 3 or 4 years. So it's not nearly as much as other creators are making, but I also don't do it full time and I don't really try that hard. So super grateful that I was able to do that though. I also won a jackpot at a casino. Wouldn't recommend, I'm not telling you to go to the casino, but I did, and I won $1,600. I'm just saying. And what did I do with that? I paid off a credit card immediately. And that's what sucks about being in credit card debt, is every like cent that I get that's not necessary for like my bills and my rent goes towards credit cards. Like I could have had $1,600 to go on a trip or do something fun or actually like buy something for myself or put it in savings. Everything I make has to go to my credit card debt. But anyway, I'm on a track to pay off all of it by next month, which I'm so excited about. And this is a cautionary tale. I had so much fun in my early 20s, but I regret so many of those decisions. So if you are considering using your credit cards in the reckless way that I did, I beg of you to not. Just don't. Interest is insane. My credit card payments have been like $400 a month for like 3 years. It'll make your life hell. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So be smarter than me, but still have fun and still go to Europe. Okay, bye.
I'm paying off $30,000 worth of credit card debt, and I would like your opinion on something. And I don't ask for your opinion outright very often, because every time I talk about money on here, someone gives their opinion regardless, which is totally fine. I do understand that I'm putting it out there. All that to say, like, I'm specifically asking a what would you do sort of situation, because I'm curious to hear from the masses on what they would do. So to paint the picture, I am paying off $30,000 worth of credit card debt. I currently sit at like just under $12,700, I believe. It's like $12,500 or something like that. And I have a emergency fund of 3 months worth of expenses sitting in a high yield savings account. And that emergency fund is maybe $500 more than how much credit card debt I have. That's point number one. Point number two is that separate from the credit card debt, I also have some other debt. So I have an auto loan, I have an RV loan, and I have something else. I'm forgetting something. We have my husband's truck loan, but we're trying to sell the truck, and then once the truck is sold, we won't have that loan anymore. It's a very small loan. So my initial plan was to pay off credit card debt as fast as I could, build my emergency fund up to 6 months of expenses, and then attack the other debt. And the reason why I would build up my emergency fund to 6 months before attacking the other debt is because the other debt is secured, and those monthly payments are very manageable, and the interest rates on them are relatively low, so it doesn't feel as emergent as paying off the credit card debt. But now to the point. Would you take the emergency fund and pay off the credit card debt, knowing that you're getting rid of it in one fell swoop? Or would you just like stay the course, continue putting excess towards your credit card debt, paying it off as fast as possible, but maintaining the emergency fund? I think on one hand, it would like lift such a weight to not have that credit card debt anymore. On another hand, I would then have to work to build that back up before I could tackle any of the other stuff. And I am a homeowner and I do have like a crap ton of animals, and sometimes just unexpected things come up. So I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm vulnerable to taking on more debt. But what would you do? A part of me is like, okay, let's make as much progress this month as we can. And then next month in June, pay off the debt. We would probably have like $1,000 left over, which is like enough of a little cushion. I don't know. I should be doing homework, and instead I'm doing this.
I have $40,000 in credit card debt. 40. So let's talk about it. First of all, that is a statement that I thought I would be taking to my grave. I never thought I would tell another soul. And in fact, until today, I have never told another soul about my struggles with credit card debt, because this is not the beginning. If we rewind all the way back to about 19 or 20-year-old Lana, that is when my journey with credit card debt began. I was 19 years old and I was dating a man who was 31, and he did not support me or help me financially in any way. And I was trying to live his lifestyle off my minimum wage job, and I was living outside my means, to be quite frank. I got myself into credit card debt. I stayed in credit card debt until I was about 21, at which point I was able to pay it off over the course of just like really cutting back and being very diligent about making as many extra payments as I could to my debt. And then I got out of it and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the most freeing thing. I'm never doing that again. And then I did. And then I paid that debt off. And you know what? I repeated the cycle again. I'm in my third cycle of credit card debt. And at this point, my threshold has just gotten so big. Your threshold for debt increases with time, right? It's just like your threshold for anything else that creates stress in your life. Over time, your body has to adapt to the current conditions. So your threshold for what it can hold expands. So right now, the number 40 probably feels staggering to some of you, but it's not a number that I feel fear around. So why am I sharing this with all of you? Well, because this debt that I've carried on and off for almost all of my 20s has cultivated so much shame for me. So much shame. I directly had my self-worth tied up into my financial picture. And so I thought that because of the fact that I had this debt, I was not worthy. I was not worthy. And as I've been doing a deep dive into my subconscious mind, just really into my psyche in general over the last couple of years, I have looked at everything very, very, very honestly. But money's been the one thing that I've been avoiding. The one thing that I've been avoiding. And over the last month, I have gotten to a place where I cannot avoid it anymore, because I am in a very unique situation when it comes to my finances. And I've been doing all of this subconscious work. And as I sat in meditation yesterday, this just came up out of nowhere that I need to talk about it. I need to talk about it. So I first started by having conversations with my closest girlfriends, because they didn't even know. And after I had spoken to them, I felt the shame just dissipating and leaving my body. And I thought, I'm going to share it with the world. I think I've always known that I was eventually going to share it with the world. I just wasn't feeling ready. And so I'm sharing this with you because I know that so many of us struggle with debt. I know so many of us are in debt right now. And I need you to remember that money is not moral. You are not worthy or unworthy depending on your financial situation. The more that we talk about things, the less that shame can breed, the less that shame can exist. And I'm just simply to a point where I'm done feeling shame about this. I'm done. And so if I don't feel shame about it, why not share it with you? Because if I can help one person feel less alone on their journey, it's worth it for me. And I don't really care what the comments are going to say, because if I don't feel shame about it, you can't make me feel shame about it. So moving forward, okay, now that we've got 40 grand, what's the plan? The plan is to give it to God, basically. I am in a full surrender right now with my finances, and I just trust so deeply that I had to get to this level. I had to go to these depths on my journey with money for me to fully untangle my relationship with money. Because if you go all the way back to my childhood, I felt fear and scarcity around money before I even conceptually understood what it was. So as I entered adulthood, I had subconscious beliefs that there wasn't enough money, that money equated to my worth, scarcity, lack. Like I had very, very, very deep-rooted fear patterns around money. So even though I entered adulthood and I was able to manage my own finances, and I consciously knew the right way to manage my finances. I worked in finance for 10 years. I consciously knew the right decisions to make. I would not make those because my subconscious mind was running the show, not my conscious mind. I was operating from my subconscious beliefs that there isn't enough, fear, scarcity, lack, instability. So a lot of times, even when I had money in my checking account, I would spend on a credit card because I needed to hoard like a little squirrel every dollar that I had in my bank account because it may never come back and there isn't enough. And what I'm learning through this process is why I repeated those patterns isn't because I have no willpower, I'm weak, I'm unintelligent, or any of those things, I'm unworthy. It's because my subconscious mind was running the show. I was allowing my limiting beliefs to run the show. And this could be applied to any other area of our life. So what I'm doing forward is changing my identity, changing my subconscious beliefs, rewiring my subconscious mind to believe that pleasure and abundance and prosperity are safe. Not only safe, they are my birthright, that I am capable of holding it, that I'm not only capable of holding it, that it is on its way to me right here, right now, that I am an abundant human being. I am releasing the shame around money in general because money is not moral. We were not born into this life knowing what money is. Money is something we created. It didn't exist when humans first evolved. We created it. It is not moral. It is not moral. If you have more questions about kind of how this all transpired, more than happy to talk about it. I'm happy to start a conversation about this. Most of this debt, this 40 number, I've been carrying around for a little while. And I posted a video the other day saying I'm breaking up with my credit cards. And I said, I don't want to go down a slippery slope. And I wasn't being fully transparent, which is fair. I don't owe the internet anything. But the full transparency is I don't want to go any farther down the slope than I'm already down, right? I'm already here. And I just made this decision. Like I had to put a vet bill on a credit card and that topped me over the 40 number. And that was my breaking point. And I was like, something has to change. And not how can I work harder to make money to pay this off? But like, what do I need to look at within myself to prevent this from happening again? Why am I keeping myself in this cycle when I know it doesn't serve me? And I think that's where a lot of the shame comes from for me, is knowing that this wasn't what was best for me. And then I would take action anyway. And then I would avoid it. So I would avoid at all costs. Like if I spent something with my credit card and I felt unrest in my body, avoid, suppress. When I would go to pay my credit card bills, like just only look at the credit card statement for long enough to pay the bill and then put it out of my mind, suppress, avoid, suppress, avoid, suppress, avoid, self-soothe in other ways, cope in other ways. So we're done with that. We are done with that. I no longer identify as somebody that uses a credit card. I no longer identify as somebody who operates from a place of lack, scarcity, not enoughness, unworthiness, none of that. I am no longer a person that operates from a place of shame. This is my last buried treasure. And if you know my face by now, I might be new to some of you, but if you know my face by now, you know I've shared a lot with you guys on the internet. And I know that it might feel wildly inappropriate to some of you, but I so firmly know in my body, in my soul, that I came here on this planet to share my journey with you. It might not resonate for all of you. And that's okay, because the ones that are supposed to receive this message and who are feeling overwhelmed by their financial situation, I know that you're going to see this. And I'm here to tell you it's not about continuously working harder. It's about looking at your subconscious beliefs. It's about looking what's going on within you. What are your beliefs around money? What are your behavior patterns around money? What is your emotional response when you think about your financial situation? What's going on in that subconscious mind, and how can we make a change? We don't get to choose our childhoods. We don't get to choose the beliefs that form about ourselves in childhood. But when we are adults, there's self-responsibility, and it is up to us to create the change that we desire. So let's do it. Let's do it together. I have been doing a crash course this month of just deep self-concept work. Deep like rewiring my brain, self-concept, subconscious, like nervous system work. And I know without a doubt that by the end of this year, that debt will be paid. I release any worry or fear or stress about it at all. I know that I'm taken care of. I am full surrender, given this to God, because I know that this is my path. I know that this is here to teach me something. I know I had to go down this journey to learn what I needed to learn, to get the medicine that I need to continue to step forth into this person that I came here to be. So I don't feel shame, and I don't want you to feel shame either. So if sharing my story helps one person, then it's worth it for me. Debt is not moral. You aren't unworthy, and you can change your financial picture truly at any point in time if you're willing to go inward, if you're willing to dive deep. So happy Friday, beautiful souls. 40. I have $40,000 in credit card debt. And I'm saying that publicly, so we're going to celebrate.
So I'm getting sued by a credit card company. It's an old credit card. I have trial this morning, and I was served my papers about 2 months ago, and I've done a lot of research as far as what I need to do, what I should say. And from what I was seeing in other videos, a lot of you guys actually are going through the same thing. So I tried to do my own research, got as ready as I think I could be, got all my papers and stuff this morning. We'll see how this turns out. I'm about to go in. My trial is, I have the appointment for my trial at 11 a.m. So it's in less than an hour here. But if I end up coming out on top, I'll try to make another video if you guys are interested, just in regards to what I did, what I said, the route I took in order to fight this thing back. So wish me luck, and I'll see you guys after court.
Take care. Bye.
Girl, yes, I am in $63,000 worth of debt, most of that being credit card debt. So let's just get into it. Casey, I'm a 30-year-old mom of 2 who also owns a mini farm, and my husband and I moved to our dream house in 2023, at the end of 2023. And since then, and even before then, I have racked up a ridiculous amount of credit card debt because I like to make myself feel better by buying things that I probably shouldn't. And I was living outside of my means, and I'm terrible with money. Well, I was terrible with money. I'll be the first to admit. So let's just lay all that out right now. I know that this is ridiculous. I know that I've put myself in a really shitty spot, but this is all my fault and I have to take full responsibility. So I am putting myself out there to do these challenges, to do these series, to try to make money off of social media because I know it's possible. I've seen it change people's lives. And I just want to see if it'll work for me because I want to explore every possible avenue of trying to get out of this debt that I put myself in. I also want to mark that my husband is very good with money and none of this is really his fault. The credit card debt is solely mine. There are 2 loans on here that both of us had agreed to, which I'll get into in a couple minutes. If you're not interested in learning about all the mistakes that I've made when it comes to financial stability and financial decisions, then you can just scroll on. But if you're someone who's struggling with your finances, stay put because you're not alone and a lot of us are struggling out here. So let's get into it. I'm about $63,000 in the hole, and a lot of that being credit cards. So I have 3 credit cards. I have a Chase card, I have a Care credit card, and I have an American Express, which I hate. The American Express card, I will put a side note in. We will be paying that off soon, thank God. My husband and I were able to get in a forbearance with our mortgage, which if you don't know that, it's where we have 6 months where we don't have to pay the mortgage and they tack it on our end of our mortgage loan. So we could save up 6 months worth of mortgage payments to pay off some debt. Pay that card off soon, thankfully. So that will take away from the debt that I'm currently in. So if I take that debt away from the rounded up number of 63,000, because it's $62,929.71 if you want to be exact, I would only be about $56,000 in debt because I have about $6,400 on the Amex card. But anyway, I digress. So the Chase card I've had pretty much my entire teenage adult life. My dad opened that credit card for me when I was in high school to put gas on just to start building my credit. Since then, obviously, I've used it for things that I didn't need. I have a Care credit card that I use for all of our animals. Full emergencies go with that, which I have about $4,400 on there between all 5 of our animals. The next 3, I'm going to have to explain a little bit. So we do have a loan for a Generac. We did get a full house generator because in this house, we've lived here since October of 2023 and we have lost power almost every time we get a storm. And sometimes it's more for 24 hours. It could be even upwards of 72. The longest we were out of power was about 3.5 to 4 days. So after the 3rd or 4th time that we lost power, we decided that we should look into a generator because it's something that made sense because we have 2 young kids and I have animals in here, but that's about a $15,000 loan. Now, this next one I'm going to explain to you. Y'all are going to think I'm stupid, but you have to hear me out. I have about $16,400 worth of debt for windows in a house that I no longer live in. Previous house in Pennsylvania, when we moved in, it had been vacant for a year. The windows were probably older than I am, and they leaked and you could barely open them. So we decided to new windows through the entire house. And that was about an $18,000 feat. Obviously we didn't have $18,000 to just pay somebody, so we got a loan. When we moved out of that house into this house, the money that we made from the sale of our previous house where the windows are, we used that money to pay off our cars. So my husband and I don't have a car payment, which I'm extremely grateful for, because we'd be out of this house at this point if we had a car payment. Between our two car payments, we probably paid about $1,200 to $1,300 a month between the two cars. So we decided to take the money we made from the sale of our old house to pay off our cars, so we would have more money to go towards this mortgage, because the mortgage of this house is very high because we bought it at a terrible time and our interest rate is 7%. So I'm not going to tell you exactly how much we pay in a mortgage out of respect for my husband, because he doesn't really like talking about finances. So me even doing this is a little like, but most of this is my debt and my fault, and I'm not going to like fault him for it. So the reason I didn't pay off the windows is because we paid off the cars, and the window payment monthly is only $240. So it made more sense to pay off the cars and have $1,300 extra a month than it did to pay off the windows and only have $240. Next loan is about $14,800, and that is just in consolidated debt from things that were years ago. So that's the consolidation loan from previous debt. So in total, I have about $62,929.71. And I would love to start paying that off. So again, like I've mentioned in the beginning of this video, I'm terrible with money, but in the last couple months, I've really gotten better at that because my credit cards are maxed out. So I don't have anything to lean on. You know, if I don't have the money, I can't buy it. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I've gotten a lot better. I've been able to really think about things. Like when I'm buying them, I really ask myself, like, will this make a difference in our day-to-day life? Or is this just something that I'm seeing online? Or is overconsumption just getting to me? And I've really been able to do a lot better with that. We do have a lot of animals. I do have 2 horses. All of you are probably like, why the fuck did you get all these animals then? I have a lot of mental illness, okay? I have a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, PTSD, those types of things. And the animals help me. So I've always wanted some of these things. We were able to figure it out and squeeze it in. Am I being squeezed to my absolute limit, paycheck to paycheck, sometimes more than paycheck to paycheck? Yes. But I will say the animals kind of pay for themselves. So like the chickens, we sell a lot of eggs. That pays for the feed for almost all of our animals. So the animals kind of even themselves out at that point. That's where I'm at. So this is day 9 of me posting every day, but it's the first day that I'm going to go. I did a deep dive into my financials and why I want to pay off all this debt. I would love to have some extra money just to be able to put my girls in some extra things. We do have a great support system. We do have family that's able to help. But, you know, we want to do this on our own. So you can make money off of social media. I'm doing what everybody else is doing, and I'm trying. Honestly, I can't start monetizing on this app until I hit 10,000 followers. So that's kind of my goal right now, is to hit 10,000 followers so we can start chipping away at this debt. So I'll keep you guys updated. I will still do farm videos every day. I will try to do farm videos every day, if not every other day. But I also will post some mom content too, kind of whatever I'm feeling. There's no real niche here, but yeah, I'm in a lot of debt, and I know a lot of people are. So I just want to let y'all know you're not alone. And if you want to learn from my mistakes, hit that follow button, because we learn in here.
I'm 22 years old, and I had $100,000 worth of debt to my name. Now I have about $76,000 worth of debt to my name, and I was able to get down to that number in about 3 months. First thing I did was debt settlement. You do not need a third-party company to do debt settlement for you. You can literally just call up your credit card companies and say, I want to do debt settlement, and they will decrease the amount you owe by taking away interest charges. Before debt settlement, I had $37,387 worth of credit card debt. After debt settlement, I had $24,577 worth of credit card debt. With 4 months of debt settlement payments, I was able to bring that credit card debt number down to $16,805. My debt settlement repayment plan with Chase Bank is 12 payments of $1,126. My debt settlement repayment plan with Apple Card is 18 payments of $507. My Discover card, I didn't choose any debt settlement repayment option. I kind of just pay that one every single month, and I was able to get that one down a lot. So yeah, I am able to avoid bankruptcy by doing debt settlement. So just come on the journey with me and watch me tackle this debt.
Here is a very realistic and very embarrassing how much debt I have as a 25-year-old. So I'm not really sure if I want to start with the highest or the lowest, but I guess I will start with the lowest and then work my way up to the highest one. So I never really knew how many credit cards you are supposed to have or how many are the normal amount you're supposed to have, but I was doing anything to get by in college, so therefore 7 credit cards was what was helping me at the time. So my first one is TJ Maxx credit card, which is at a total of 0. My Sam's Club credit card, which is also at a total of 0. My Capital One card that I used recently is card number 3, and it is at $261.10. Then, moving on, I have an American Airlines card, which is also at $8.99. Then, Apple, my very, very most used card, is at $658.53. And then I have my Kay's Jewelers card, which I financed my wedding ring, or me and my husband did, and it is at a total of 0. Then I have a Chase Amazon card, which is also at a total of 0. So the moment we've all been waiting for, the highest one and the one that takes up the majority of the debt, is basically my student loans, and it is at $22,658.15. I have no words for this one. So that brings the grand total to $23,586.77. Now, if you ask me, that is actually a lot of money. Who has $25,000? Obviously not me. And it's actually really embarrassing to tell people how much debt I am in, because I feel like that's a really, really high amount. To be fair, I was in a lot more debt in 2023. I had about $13,000 to $15,000 of credit card debt. So if you were to add $13,000 to $15,000 on top of the actual total right now, that would be even more, and I'd probably be even more sad, which I actually was pretty sad and stressed when I had that much debt. Thankfully, in 2023, we got our life together and we paid off a lot of these credit cards. I would say all of them were actually paid down all the way to 0 at some point, and within the span of 6 months. However, now just 2 of them have really high balances. And you know what? I don't know what to do about student loans, because that's a really, really crazy amount. But, you know, we will keep on chugging, and that is how much debt I am in as a 25.